It's almost bedtime, but I gotta get some mask testing done. So, as always, welcome to another live stream. I just do this for data transparency reasons. We're going to be testing a variety of masks today that I haven't tested in the past, including some the Breathe 2 from Canada, or not Canada, from the Breathe 2 mask from Prescientex, Prescientex, the Aeronum from Sweden, a valved VFlex, the FFP3 from Poland, the 9163RE, 9163E, the Breathe 99 that's now being sold from Ambrust. And what else do we got? Oh, in a very interesting mask, a kid's mask. It's actually the only mask to date that I think features is like an aura for kids. This is the Trident, only available in Australia, but these are super nice. They have the same foam as the Aura for sure. I'm guessing, I really suspect that these are actually made by the same. So I suspect that 3M uses third-party manufacturers for some of the Auras, and I think they do use one that's based out of China, and I'm pretty sure that's the same company that's making this mask because they're nearly identical and the build quality is pretty good, but they definitely source the same foam. It has that very 3M foam smell. So anyways, that's what we're going to do tonight. On my list of stuff to do to get this done so that eventually I can do a review video. But I can't review, say, the best mask in the world until I've tested all the masks. So that's what's on the docket for tonight. Hopefully it'll only take about an hour and a half. But that's the hope. All right. So, those are not familiar with the setup, we're going to use the same 16% sodium chloride solution. It gives about a 70 nanometer count mean diameter of aerosol. I'm going to first hook the HEPA filter up to our pneumatic connection. So I use a TSI 3025A ultrafine CPC for this measurement. It's basically the same as like a port count on steroids. It's way overkill, but it works well. And I've used it since the beginning of this measurement, so I'll continue with the same measurement technique. So we put that on there, and we see that our concentration average is now dropping to 0. In fact, I have 0 counts on here, so now our concentration is 0. So with the filter attached, I'm getting 0 counts. This ensures that mass reading that I can go to 0. It's always a good way to check to make sure that the device in interest can actually go all the way to 0. So I have actually 0 counts on the counter right now. Pull the filter back off, and concentration will come back up. Okay, so I'm going to kick on the generator. We'll start with our Moldex N100 control. That's what I use all the time. So we'll get ready to start testing on that. Jay says masks are pretty much over here in Canada. I think masks are pretty much over in the world because people are tired. Because the only solution they're given to tackle the pandemic are to wear a mask, because we haven't tackled ventilation, filtration, and UV germicidal applications, but I think that will change. I think for me, people are still interested in masks. There's still people out there that need masks that are immunocompromised or would have or a caretaker for someone who's immunocompromised, and so there are people that are still needing masks. Life for many people has not changed a lot. They're still having to deal with that, so I'll keep working on this for a little bit. A couple hours out of my day is not that big of a deal if someone finds it useful. Alright, so we'll kick the aerosol concentration up to about 20,000 particles per cc. Then we'll do the Moldex N100 control. Then move on to I have two control 8210s, the Air Queen, and then we'll start the testing. I only have a handful of masks, so it should only take me about an hour or so today. At least that's the hope. Basil Tiffany had said, my favorite mask is the Draeger Explorer 1750. It seems the material has changed. Not sure if it's just a batch. There's actually 2 part numbers for the Explorer 1750. I don't remember off the top of my head. They actually had changed them over thing. The better one is more breathable. I think all versions are going to that. So they had the first batch. I can't. They actually have a two. If you actually look at the part number, if you have some of those extra Explorers around, compare the part number that's stamped on the front. They're going to be slightly different. They did change those midway through their production run, but they went to a more breathable version, which is nice. So usually that's what. Yeah. So Pundrick B had said that always on the lookout for my 8-year-old. Someday they make it similar to what adults have with an N95 Aura, and I think the answer is the Trident. Unfortunately, you can't get them anywhere outside Australia, but Trident is making an Aura. Basically, it's exactly the same as an Aura. You know, maybe a little lighter duty because they don't. It's pretty bad. So I would say it's basically the same as an Aura, but they make a headband in a kid size. So this is an extra small. They actually make all kinds of sizes. They make an extra small, a medium, a large, and extra large. It's exactly what we should be seeing with mask manufacturing in general. I think it's strange that, you know, even for the 3M Aura, that it only comes in one size. I would like to see them extend that to include a medium or small medium, medium large, you know, extra large. I think that would help a lot. And an extra small. I mean, I'd love to see kids masks, but there's some logistical challenges with kids masks because we don't have a standard in the U.S. for it. And I think some of them might struggle to maintain that performance at such a small mask because Sunday night. Because the N95 standard doesn't have any consideration for like the user, and it would be nice to have some kid sizes and some. It'd be just nice. It'd be nice if we just did it a little differently in terms of how we did our mask standards, so that airflow rate is proportional to like the mask size or something like that. Ideally, I guess there's something that could have a very large set of lungs, but a very small face. But I think in general, that's probably unlikely. All right, so you brought the concentration up. Let it stabilize here for a second. And then we'll get started with the control mask. It's been a little while since I've been in the database. I do have the port account if we need it, but I didn't set it up yet this morning. That might be, if I have a problem, I'm probably gonna have to do that another day. Let's just get started and see who gives us problems. Hopefully nobody, but you never know. All right, 1-8. I'm just gonna get all the masks ready to go here while we wait. Oops. All right, concentration stabilized. 20-second concentration is 3.266 e to the 4. Go ahead and throw on the mask. I'm getting a little high reading on this. It's just not seated on my face. I guess I could adjust the head tension. So why this is one of the issues with my or not really issues, but just one of the differences. I'm trying to evaluate respirator performance at some level relative to this method I've used for a few years. And so I always make sure the mask is well seated, which isn't representative of how you would actually wear it, because you're not always hooked to a device to measure it. So let's see what's going on here. Otherwise, I could have a leak in my CPC, but I think that would be surprising to me. Huh, I wonder what's going on here. I'm not sure. Normally I don't have any problem with this mask. It is pretty old, and I did have a tear in the little nose area. I wonder if that's finally problematic for me. I do have a spare. So a long time ago, this got damaged recently, right on the nose right here. It got tore a little bit. Let's move to the 8210s and see if we're having the same issue there. I just weird that I can't get it. Let me just put the filter back on. I'm just having trouble getting the zero count to be zero here. Let's just check here. Okay, so the filter on. Yeah, filter goes to zero, no problem. We're basically zero right there. Yeah, so filter has no problem. That's strange. Let's try it one more time here. Maybe that nose tear is finally a problem. I do have a spare of this, so it's okay. Maybe I'll have to bring out my spare. Yeah, I must be getting leaks somewhere. All right, let me go with let's move on. Well, hold on this one. I'll have to go grab my spare out of the basement. Let's move on to the N95 controls and make sure that they're working okay. And then I think that damage to the tear on that one has finally caused it to leak a little bit. I'm just make sure I can get a pretty good seal in that corner. Huh. It's a little high too. I don't know what's going on here. I might have a leak in my system. That'd be strange. Normally my N100 is like zero counts, which is kind of a bummer. Of course, it's the Sunday night when I'm retire this, and I don't want to do this as much. But so yeah, such is life. Okay, so this one's good. All right, so I suspect that was damaged. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab my Moldex spare. Be right back. All right, we're back. Wait. Sorry, guys. Maybe probably loud clank noise there. All right, I'm back with Moldex number 2. I didn't think I'd have to bring this one out or retire or out so soon, but let's see how well it works. Okay, so this one works really well. So it did get damaged. I'm kind of bummed by that. Okay, so this one. So for those that are wondering, I got a tear right in the nose here of this old control. Let's see if I can jump to my OBS studio with my tuning windows open. So right on the. I don't know if we can even pick it up on camera. Let's see. See, there's like a little tear right there. Like it got squat accidentally under the CPC when I was putting it on the counter or on the table, and it tore the little nose foam right there. But it'll probably be okay. But it turns out it's not. So we'll have to use Moldex N900 control number 2. So that's the way it goes. But it does work. So let concentration stabilize, and then we'll jump in. So we'll call this index and run control number 2. Kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. 1.689 equals 4. It's the same lot too. It's the same lot. I've had this mask for a long time. All right. Stabilize at 20.5 particles per cc. Go ahead and pull the mask off. Got a little leak somewhere still even on this one. So I don't know what's my luck today. But it is a different mask, so, and it's still 99.89, so you would more than pass any fit test requirements. We'll let it stabilize here for 10 seconds here. Almost there. All right, 1.62 e to the 4. 1.62 e to the 4 for the final concentration. All right. Do the mold. I'll do the N90 or the N100 stars. Well, I'll do the N95 8210s. Do number 1 first, just because I've always had it and wanted it as our baseline data set. We'll give it 10 seconds thing. I'll answer some quick questions. Is the 3M V-Flex mask good for COVID? Yes. Any N95 in terms of filter performance will be really, really good. They don't filter at 95%. They actually filter a bit higher than that. N95s need to filter at 95% at an extreme, basically like a really heavy breathing rate is the equivalent kind of way to think about that. At really high loading, and after really high loading, like 200 milligrams, which is an insane amount. So yeah, N95s are the way to go. But face fit's most important. And V-Flex I really like because it's super breathable. Yeah, Superfly says I wear them part-time at work, or while I'm all the time working. Yeah, no, they're never seen a review on them. Yeah, they're. If you look at my data sheet, you can find them in there. They're one of my favorite masks. I wear them all the time too. They're hashtag VFlex gang. All right, let's jump into the N90, the 8210 here. So that is 1.522 e to the 4. All right, long mask. Oh, they're at 139. 139. Jump around a little bit, but still pretty good. All right, we'll answer one more question. Let's see. Fit Test the Planet. Oh, yeah, I follow them on Twitter. They have done a lot of fit testing of a variety of masks. Draeger 715 is a bifold, leaks during jaw motion. Draeger 1920 and 1930 is where it's at. Yeah, 1920 and 1930 technically are not N95s. I think those are FFP2s. You can score them if you order them from Europe, but I don't think they've released their N95 version yet here in the U.S. I think, bifolds in general perform fairly poorly. I think the relative question is what should we be targeting for a general public mass standard in terms of fit performance. I think the workplace OSHA fit test requirement is probably not appropriate for a general public standard. It's probably overly restrictive. But yeah. All right, get the concentration up here. I want this window right here. 1.42 e to the 4. 1.42 e to the 4. 99 1.06. Do number 2 here. So that was number 1. Let me just double check. That is number 1. Move on to number 2 here. This is number 2. Get this one on, and then we'll probably have to turn the generator on, but that's okay. Gives me a few minutes to answer some questions if anyone has any. All right. 1.268 e to the 4. Down the mesh. Much tighter headbands on this one because it hasn't been used for 3 years. All right, 51.2. So N95 working pretty good there. The small difference we see between those two 8210s is this 18210 has kind of been on the job for like 3 years, and the headbands are pretty stretched out. Maybe there might be impact on the filter media at this point in time because I've kind of used it so many times. But it does highlight, like, these don't just go bad sitting out. That's been sitting in my basement, coming up and doing tests for, 3 years almost. So, yeah, Basil Tiffany says the 750. Yeah, I mean, I think the bifolds can fit certain faces. I just think that on average, bifolds fit they do work for certain individuals. I find people that have really tall, like, nose to chin distance. Oops, sorry, I knocked my mic off. They seem to fit bifolds a little bit better, and they kind of have to have usually a thinner face. Those work well for bifolds. But I would say that it's a small. They're less likely to fit than let's say an Aura series. I think in the trifold series is like the best fitting masks out there, especially the Aura series because of the nose foam. They just kind of it's a good design. But yeah, I'm glad that you like those 1750s. They're American made too. Make it a plant here in the U.S. All right, 1.166 e to the 4. I think we can squeeze in the one last one here before we drop below 10,000. So put that up on the counter there. So we're looking pretty good. I'm a little annoyed by the N100, but maybe I need a shave or something. I don't think so. I'm pretty fairly freshly shaven. So we're gonna use this is the Air Queen Nano. It's been around also for about 3 years and slowly is losing performance. It's kind of been on a steady decline for the last while. Last time we got 89%, so we'll see what we get today. Get that one going here. That's the yearly mass. All right. Let's take a look at our concentration. It's 1.099 e to the 4, so we're just below my limit. I like to say about 10,000. Well, they're at 1287. Jumping around a little bit. It's always a tough one to get because this one's a tough one to get because it leaks. So it's an air loop mask, so it's not a perfect seal. Plus the filter media leaks, so it's always kind of you see me really trying to get a good face fit on those. And that's one limitation of my test is I was trying to evaluate performance of devices relative to each other. So we kind of care about what is their filtration efficiency and what is the breathability of the mask. Not so much, this is not exactly what you would do at home or when you don a mask. You're not spending much of time. I mean, you should make sure it's well fitted, but you're not connected to a port account or a CPC at the time. So that's why it's a little not realistic to a real world scenario. But my goal is to make comparisons of masks, chasing high performing masks that are nice and easy to breathe in, as well as just testing what's out there. All right. Test table is 1.08484. All right, 88.21. So pretty typical for this mask, slowly dropping off over time. All right, so now we get into the new mask. I'm going to actually flip the generator on and I can answer some questions for 30 seconds, or no, maybe a minute or so. It takes about a minute to get that going. Let's see. M says we should run an experiment to see how much the fit of the same mask degrades with shaving. I agree. M is the co-founder of Open Arrows. I agree, M. I'm not a good candidate for that because I can't grow a beard. I get stubble, but that's about it. Patchy facial hair. Paulo Correa says, are there any nanofiltering masks which regularly meet N95 standard? My understanding is that they rely less on electrostatic trapping and more on mechanical filtering, and you're correct. They do. So nano masks use very, very small diameter fibers. So in classic filtration theory, the smaller the fiber is and the more of them that you have, the more you can collect. But sometime in the mid-90s, they kind of realized that if you take those same really small fibers and apply an electrostatic charge onto them, so they're basically like statically charged, that you can get a further enhancement of filtration efficiency. To answer the question, I am not aware of any nano filter materials being used in N95s, mostly because from what I've seen so far is that the nano filter media is lower performing than the electrostatic filter media. So the electrostatic filter media performs better, so in terms of filtration efficiency and how hard it is to breathe in or pressure drop, the breathability of electrostatic media is better. So like the Air Queen's a good example of that. We'll test also the nano mask from Prescient X. So I think the answer in general is that nano filter media really has not panned out to be as good as they have claimed to be, and it kind of makes sense because electrostatic filter media is like boosted. It's like turboed. It's like it takes advantage of some phenomena that are really effective in the size scale of interest. So I think that's why you don't see any, and I think that in general the best performing filter media out there in terms of that performance is really has really been electrostatic filter media. Alan Balha says, any interesting mask designs you've seen recently? Not really. Yeah, the one I'm going to test today, the Aranum, this one here. This is like their active outdoor mask. I thought this was a very interesting design concept because it's more akin to something that I think is a better design of a mask, and that is if I hold it up here. Let's see. I jump to OBS so I can see what's going on. 1 second. Okay, so it has a very large face perimeter seal, so lots of surface area. I think the front of the mask is like a cloth covering to hold it tight to your face. So that's maybe not ideal. I don't like the addition of a cloth feature, but this is interesting, so we'll test it and see how it does. I have some concerns about its sealing capability of the design in terms of how you insert the mask. I am not a big fan of that. I think there's a lot of... It's going to probably have face leakage. Like the filter media is good, but how it attaches and assembles, we'll see. right, so we will get going. So the first mask I want to test out is the 3M V-Flex 9163. This is a Polish-made mask. So in Europe, they have the FFP3 standard, and this mask is the V-Flex version of that, and it comes with a valve. I just by wearing it, I don't feel like it's any more breathable. It's actually probably feels a little less breathable than the normal one, and that's because it's an FFP3. FFP3 is I don't know what the heck do I call V-Flex? Technically it's a duckbill, I guess. FFP3 is actually a more restrictive requirement, so it's harder. It has higher filtration standards, so they require. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to go off the top of my head. I believe it's 99% of paraffin oil at 95 liters per minute, which is higher. The flow rate is higher than that, and paraffin oil is a non-polar substance, so electrostatic media doesn't work as well against it. It still works, but it's less effective. And so what you find is that test aerosol and that higher flow rate means it's a little harder. This is one issue that I see going around, is that people say that either N95 or FFP3, and I would argue that FFP2 is actually closer to an N95 standard. The problem in Europe is that the FFP2 allows ear loops because they have a total inward leakage of 8%. And so some people think like, well, then all FFP2s feature ear loops, and the answer is no. It's kind of a weird Euro issue, is that they still require a fit factor of 100 in workplace settings. And so you can have FFP2 masks that are not going to ever sell for the workplace because they're ear loop, but they also make headband versions such as the Aura and a variety of others. So kind of a little messy, but still, I would argue still a better standard than the N95 standard, because the N95 standard needs to get updated. All right, so we're going to go out there at 3.03 e to the 3. For those wondering, the N95 standard has not been updated since 1994. The breathability requirement very much is needed to be updated. 250 pascals is horrendously bad, and most masks with modern technology are 50 pascals, so it's like 5 times better. So I think they need to update that standard. Oh, they're at 73.34. 99.76 looks pretty good on my guess. My guess is the filter media is probably good. I'm probably getting a little bit of leakage, like right on the nose area, right here. That would be my hypothesis on that mask. Or it could be right at the interface of the seams. It would be tough to get much beyond that design. Elastomerics are good to kind of take you that last bit. Let's see, any questions? Let's see. Yeah, LG Airwasher is a great mask. I like the LG the really stiff nose wire, but just a heads up, the LG Airwasher will be changing to a new nose wire. So over time, you might see that stock change. They're going to a slightly less stiff nose wire. I've emailed them multiple times. I got the contact for them, and I've emailed them a few times, and they have never replied. And I was just curious as to why. My hypothesis is, but I can't confirm it because I haven't talked to anyone there, is that they are targeting the domestic market. And their domestic market in South Korea does not really like as stiff a nose wire as we like to see here in the U.S. And so my guess is that they are adjusting their target demographic to the local populace, and they are reducing the stiffness of the nose wire. We'll see what it is. I haven't got any of them yet. I've just heard the rumor of it, so I'll wait till I can get my hands on some of them. Who knows when that will happen? Okay, so let's try the Airnum. Let's see, what is the technical term for this? It's the Airnum Active, I believe. I'm gonna have to actually look it up. Sorry, just 1 second. Airnum Active, something like that. Air Mask Active. So it's today. Airnum Air Mask Active. It is a KN95 certified media, I believe. I'm almost 90% sure it is. I'll have to double check on that. Let me put a question mark on that. I think it's KN95. It is, I don't know exactly what you'd call this. It's technically like an elastomeric, but it's not like a traditional, so I'm going to call it a duckbill. But it's not really. Let's just call it full face. Or half face. Quarter mask, half mask. Goes below the chin. Nope, it's on the chin, so it's quarter mask. Maybe as worn, it's black. It's headband. Which has a really nice headband. The one thing I noticed right away, like whoever designed the mask, it's like it ain't a cheap mask. I don't know how much is it. What do they charge these days for them? I got it. They said had sent it to me for $150. But yeah, it's pretty nice. I mean, it is very well built. $150 is kind of. Alan asked, will the exhalation valve affect the test result? Oh, actually, persons had mentioned mask tape. Mask tape works well. You can use mask tape. You can also, so just so people are aware, there's a skin-safe mask tape by 3M, as most of everyone's using. It's toupee tape. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. If you just search 3M toupee tape or wig tape, it's used all over the place, and then you can also use it as mask tape. It's way cheaper than if you buy like specific mask tape branded stuff, but it's just toupee tape. It's skin-safe. It's hypoallergenic tape. I can't remember the 3M number, but that's another option for that. The exhalation valve can affect the test results, but typically not. I mean, if you're right there, you can get, as I suck in, there's like this instantaneous like little puff that will come through the diaphragm valve. It's very, very, very small, like nothing that I would ever worry about. Far less than you could get through face leakage, but in general, no, you don't. The valves work really well. James asks, what double? Oh, yeah. So, all right, I gotta jump into this. All right, concentration is stabilized. So for those wondering, the tube is sampling air all the time and going into a 3025A condensation particle counter. It's like a porta-count on steroids. 2.22 to the 2. And so it's sampling the concentration. So since this mask is not on my face, we're measuring the concentration in the air, but I'm going to install the mask, and then we're going to measure the concentration inside the mask. And that's the difference between those two is the effectiveness of the mask as I'm wearing it. I mean, it's not bad. It's just it's a really smart place to move. I like where they're sealing. The elastomeric material is too stiff and the frame's too stiff, but this strap is really nice. But I'm getting a leak. Definitely leaking somewhere. Oh, they're at 2480. So it's leaking. And I suspect that it is leaking filter interface to their silicone seal, and I'll show why. It's the biggest weakness of this mask. It'd be interesting to see what they have done to test this mask, because I kind of saw the design and my first thought was, wow, this is going to be really prone to leaks because of how the mechanism is. I think the idea behind this mask isn't really for COVID protection. It's mostly thinking about outdoor air pollution, and so that's a little bit of a different application, and you probably won't, it's 90% reduction or something like that, still pretty good, especially for like wildfire smoke. But I would argue though, for $150, I could probably buy a lot of E-Flexes and rocks the same thing. So kind of a, yeah. I mean, the build quality on the mask is amazing. And it was not cheap because it's like stitched in thermoform, or like they heat set the plastics, or the fabric is like heat set. Yeah, it was not cheap to make that. 2108 E to the 4. Off the mat keyboard there. 2108 E to the 4. So that works out too. And I'll probably do the pressure drop measurement tomorrow, just so everyone's aware. I'll get to it tonight because it's already 10 o'clock. So 88.57. It's not bad. I do not think it's the actual filter media, so I'll try to show it on camera here, what's going on. Let me jump over to OBS. So this mask, actually, let me just pull it out and I'll show you kind of how it works. So this mask is held in place. Actually, let me remove the cover first. I can kind of remove the cover. It's held on by the port. But then I can pull out the filter body. So the filter body is just held in place by the elastomeric material of the seal, and I don't think that that's going to be suitable for making a leak-tight seal. So there's the filter coming out, and then it has to seal to the frame. And I think that the seal to the frame is the issue there. I'm not a big fan of how they did the seal to the frame, especially they have a breathing valve in this design. And I think that's probably actually the issue, is the breathing valve, because it does not engage tight enough. So it's, I mean, I like I like where they're going with it. It's just the execution of it wasn't really as meant. The first one they sent me actually had a problem, a similar problem. It was even worse than this one. I couldn't get the filter housing to clip in. This one, I can kind of get the clip in if I push it and wiggle it, but still, yeah, it's not really, yeah, it's not how I would have designed this. I think the plastic rigid frame was a mistake. So anyways, you can jam it all back in there to put it all back together, but like there's nothing that's sealing that frame. See, you just fold the silicone over, and that's what's supposed to provide the seal. That's going to be dicey. So you don't need much of a leak to see, to see what we saw there. So it could be assembly error. I mean, I could have done something wrong there, but then that's highlights like the average Joe consumer or average person is going to have the same kind of problem. So I'll put it here to the side. Maybe I'll do some port account testing tomorrow if I have a few minutes before I take off. Okay, let's move on to the next mask. This is the Breathe 99. Armbrust recently purchased this brand. I think this brand was actually Minneapolis-based. I think they're local here. A medical device company. So this is the Breathe. It has two small round filter inserts. I'm not a big fan of this design, to be very frank, because it doesn't really fit that well for me, and the silicone is too stiff, too high of a durometer for that. So this is the Breathe 99. I don't think it has any rating. It's non-rated. It's a quarter mask. Maybe as worn. It's blue. It is currently set up as headband. Get started here in just a second. So, give it a second here. Paulo Correa has ditched the beard, get a good face seal, and wears a mask. So good for you. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I wish we weren't relying on masking so much, but c'est la vie. All right, 1.501 E to the 4. All right, so this one, set up as headband. Let's pop it over. Now, there's not really a nose wire. The nose wire is actually in the fabric piece, but it leaks. It's gonna leak like a sip. It does not fit my nose right here. And if I pull this up and try to form it, it's like it's too far from my nose to be effective. I'm eating the filters because they're too close to my mouth. Yeah, ow, this is yeah, not a great design. We'll do it as worn here. As close as I can get to it as worn. Not a great design. I'm just like, the filters are rubbing against my face. I got a leak by my nose, and it doesn't really stay put. And this nose wire is like in the fabric, and it doesn't really do anything. Yeah, this is not going to work for me, but we'll just wear it anyways. I'll do a shot here. Oh, they're 507. Not bad, but you're not going to be able to pass a fit test on this one. I like where they were going with the design, but it's just really not a great execution of it. The filters are like right so close to your mouth right here because it just smashes against it. So you're just like rubbing against the hard plastic of the filter. You laugh, the silicone is too thick and too stiff. I actually think this is probably okay, but the durometer should have come way lower on the face seal. Something. Yeah, it's not a great mask. I'm not sure. Like, it's kind of got the wrong combo of things. And I'm not a big fan of the flat filter media type style mask. I think they always have the same compromise that they have to make, which is breathability or filtration efficiency. There's just not enough filter area. I did a review video on the Invo mask and the Invo mask, Breathe and Flow mask. And kind of showed that the VFlex has like 2.5 times the effective filter area, and flat filter media just doesn't work. It needs to be pleated. 1.506 is a 4. I can tell you why they don't pleat it, because it's a huge pain in the ass. We've been working on that at Open Arrows for a while, trying to figure out how to pleat filter media cheaply and effectively. And I can tell you, it's not that easy. You need some equipment and some specialty stuff. We'll see if we can figure it out, but no promises. Okay, moving on. Let's do the Nano Mask from Proscentex. Find the end of my tube here. Oh. So this is a nano filter media mask. We'll see how it performs. I suspect probably. I'm just gonna. I won't predetermine it. Let's see. So this is the Proscentex Nano Mask. If it's nano material, typically I find them to not perform that well. So we'll see. I have it set up as ear loop at the moment, only because I don't have the headband straps. Oh no, actually no. I said that I picked the ear loop for this one. You can pick either headband or ear loop. Let that stabilize for this few seconds. Fit test the plan says, yeah, the breathe landing flunked pretty hard on both me and my wife, even without jaw motion. Yeah, I could imagine that mask is going to be hard to fit. No, like the design for the nose area doesn't really make any sense. And it's like the quarter mask seal location is weird. It's like really high. It's going to be problematic. Not quite sure. I mean, I can tell you that it cost them a lot of money to make that mask. 1.365 e to the 4. So not like they didn't try. It just, it's hard. They probably got one run at it. It costs a lot of money to do LSR. We're working hard on that and improving that at Open Arrows too. Making it much cheaper to do silicone seal materials. All right. I can tell you this mask is nice and breathable, and I like the seal design. It's maybe too stiff. It's stiff. It's TPU instead of silicone, but super breathable. but filtration efficiency is not there. So I want to make sure I don't have any leaks. Oh, they're at 1932. It's about 85%. I can, ooh, I don't know if you could all see that. I think it had adhered to my face. Good design. I mean, I think the TPU is a little thick, but it's really nice design. I think the issue is the filter media. The nano filter material just doesn't ever really perform that well. Relative to electrostatic, right? Relative to, let's say, that V-Flex that we were just rocking earlier, right? Similar breathability, but, significantly are improved. In fact, I think one thing that's lost is how much improvement difference. I'll just do the calculation really quick. So it's going to be 1 minus. Where is the V-Flex? Here. Oh, it's going to be. Okay. We're going to see how much better the V-Flex is than that. Because 85 does seem like, oh, it's only like 15% different, but actually it's 53 times more efficient. So in other words, the V-Flex let 53, or that nanomask let 53 times more particles through of the test aerosol that I'm using, which is quite small, but in general, like, I think it's relative, like we're using the same test aerosol in both of those masks, so it is some relative comparison about how well they work. But I would argue, yeah, even though it's 85 versus 99 and some change, it seems like, oh, that's like 15% difference, but actually it's a 53x difference in terms of performance. 1.196 e to the 4. 1.196 e to the 4. So, just a reminder that, yeah, it's kind of a huge difference and something we should consider when we're designing one. I think that I would always, I think the trade-off that I would like, I mean, the other thing is like, if the V-Flex was to chase 85% filtration efficiency, it would be even more breathable than that. I think in the end of the day, filter media quality is quality factor is the driving number there. All right, let's continue the Prochintex fun times. So let me kick the generator on. And while we wait for that to charge up, I'll get ready for it. So the next one is the Prochintex Breathe 2 with the bio aerosol filter. I did not get any of the particulate filters. Oops, it's the Breathe 2 bio aerosol filter. It is non-rated. It is a quarter mask, although I would argue it's a 3/8 mask. But yeah, as worn, black, and it is going to be ear loop for this setup, just because that's what I had available. This is what the Breathe mask looks like. I actually think this is a really nice looking design. It's kind of similar to the Flow mask, but I think different enough that there's nothing there like, it uses elastomeric seal. The head loops are totally different. And the seal design is very different. This is an older version, I believe. Yeah, this is, I think, an older version of the mask because it has thicker elastomeric seal area. And it doesn't have the nose wire in it though, so maybe not. Anyways, still looks like this. It's pretty cool. It's 3D printed for the case. I'm not sure if I got an early prototype of it or if the real production is, but actually MJF, I think it looks like MJF to me, not selective laser sintering, but which is plenty strong, so should be no problem. So we'll give it a test here, see how it runs. All right. Let that concentration keep coming up. I'm going to get about 25,000 particles per cc. That's The reason that I go so high, you don't really need to go that high. The reason I go so high is that this room that I'm in also has outdoor air leaking in from the background, so from my house and from outdoors, and so that can shift the size distribution. So what I'm effectively making sure is that most of the particles that are coming in, and the background concentration in this room is about 1,500 particles per cc. So by going like 3,000 or 30,000 particles per cc, we can say like 98% of the particles are from this generated source, and this background rate is really small and should only influence the measurement slightly, because the particle size can change of the background aerosol. Just depends on the outdoor conditions, as well as what the source of the combustion is. So if my neighbor starts a fire, I'll see that difference. So it's kind of one of the issues that you have. So I go really high to minimize that effect. So everything's going to likely be measured from the aerosol generator. So for those wondering. Let's see. I find that one day of stubble helps grip my N95. Yeah, I think a little bit of stubble probably does get a little grab in doing it. And I think this to me highlights why you need to move. Like, I like N95s, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see some more elastomeric material or foam materials to help give more compliance and better face seal. And then I think elastomeric materials also might be, or appear to be. I don't have a ton of data to compare that to, but in my experience, seem to be less sensitive to facial hair as well. Yeah. All right. Let's let that stabilize here for a couple seconds. All right, 2.31 e to the 4. 2.31 e to the 4. All right, we'll don the mask. It's very breathable, but the concentration is really high, so I don't know what's going on. If there's a leak somewhere, I don't feel like it. I don't feel it. All right, 3586. That's a little disappointing, but about 85%. This is the bioaerosol filter. Last time we got similar values. So I think we actually got a little lower. I think we got 75 last time. So the extra filter area kind of gave a little bump, but 85%, I'm not super bumped by that. Let's see. Someone was talking about the Seeks. They had done the Seek method of using the elastic band, the electric exercise bands to help seal the beard. I think the Seek people, having COVID and having to wear a mask makes that very difficult for them. I hope we can come up with some good solutions for them, because obviously they're not going to shave their beards, and good on them for coming up with solutions and having to do that. So someone asked if the particles does the content in your lungs get higher after the aerosolize room? So my lungs actually, you're filtering them. So yes, part of the reason I have to wear the mask for about 30 seconds or so is that, yeah, my lungs are actually full of the aerosol. In fact, one of the things they tell you with the port account is to not smoke cigarettes before doing it, because you'll have so many particles in your lung that when you put the mask on, when you breathe out, you'll be emitting more particles than would come into the mask. And so what happens is, as I'm breathing, yeah, I have the particles in my lung, and then I'm breathing them back out. My lungs do filter. About 50% of the particles that come into my lungs get filtered. And that's because that's how your lungs work. They work really well for oxygen, and also pretty well for filtering particles, really, really small ones, like the ones we're talking about here, ultrafine particles, 1.98 e to the 4, by the way, on that concentration. And so, yeah, my lungs are filtering these. Luckily, it's just sodium chloride, so no more dangerous than being by the ocean on a windy day or something. Actually, probably less dangerous, because it turns out poop that people dump into the ocean can get re-aerosolized. Kim Prather has a nice little study on that. That's kind of very interesting. But yeah, so not much of a risk. Don't recommend doing it all the time. No reason to expose yourself to stuff you don't need to, but don't really risk. Little sodium chloride particles are okay. By mass, it's very, very small. The account mean diameter is 70 something nanometers for this, so it's quite small. All right, this is the well before KN95 Pro, I think what they call it. I don't have the packaging. I need to look at that. It's K95 rated. It's a boat style trifold. It's going to be as worn. It's black. And it's ear loop. And it's 2.168 e to 4. Now this mask is unique because it's the first ear loop mask that they have nose foam, and I think a very interesting nose wire. It is aluminum. It is not stiff. It is super soft and malleable, but seems to work pretty well. I was kind of surprised when I first got it. It's not a stiff nose wire. It's kind of stiff, but it's like the most malleable material that I've used to date. It's just like, it just forms like butter to the nose. So it's kind of interesting. Oh, they're at 310. 310.4. Oops. Let's try that again. So 98.57. Yeah, I think that's really limited by the filtration efficiency of the mask, but 98.57 is really pretty solid. Breathability is really good on that mask, and I think that the nose foam, I'm not 100% I mean, it's good. In terms of ear loop respirators, that's probably one of the nicer ones that I've worn lately. Breathability is really good. Yeah, it's maybe a little warm because I think that they're using some what they call ES cotton, electrostatic cotton. It's basically melt blown, but instead of being in a sheet form, they like form a little puffiness to it, like the stuffing inside of a couch or a stuffed animal. And so it kind of traps heat, I think. I think we should go to, I mean, if you're going to go ear loop and you're going to go to these kind of masks, I think they should go really, really, really thin and dainty, because then they're much cooler in terms of temperature. They think they change. They feel cooler, at least to me, when I wear them. 98.52. That's pretty freaking solid. Very, very breathable. So very interesting. We'll move on. I'm not going to do any port account stuff tonight, I don't think, because I just don't have time. So maybe that'll have to stay till tomorrow. I'll leave the setup in here, and then I'll do it tomorrow. I'm off to vacation in a couple days, so I don't have a ton of time. All right, we've got 2 masks left. We'll do the Aranum Urban Mask, and then we'll do the Trident Kids Mask. I'm probably going to have to cut it and make it ear loop because the headbands are just way too tight because it's for kids, and my melon is a little bit bigger than a kid. So maybe it's only 10:30. Maybe I'll bust out the port account when I have a second. Maybe I'll bust it out. Aranum Urban Mask. KN95 filter rated, I think. Let me jump. I'll put a question mark there so I come back and fill that in tomorrow. It is bifold, technically. It's going to be as worn. It's black, and it's ear loop. And you can make it headband as well, though. So those not familiar with this style of mask, Aranum likes to do this fabric cover on the outside. So they have like a fabric cover. And then on the inside is basically like a frameless KN. It's actually more like a KN95. And then it just has like little stick on. You're not going to be able to see because it's black, but it has Velcro to attach. So it's very much like a bifold KN95. They even have a little nose foam insert in there. Nose wire is pretty good. The only thing that's kind of unique about it than most KN95 is that they have exhaust valves. So it'll be interesting to try it out. Let's get some concentration measurements here. I got to stop twisting around, so I'll just let that set for a second. Get the upstream concentration, then I'll don the mask and do the downstream concentration. I am kind of curious if this mask is fitting me well. So you can use the N95 companion with a port account to really find leaks, and I'll bring it in here for that reason. I saw Fit Test the Planet mentioned that he suspects that the leakage between how the filter media attaches to the mask, so we can test that. Definitely you need it. If you want to get super hardcore, I'd recommend getting the N95 companion. 1.578 e to the 4. You can sometimes find them on eBay. I have a couple of them that I have now. I have 2 of them. The spare. Oh. Okay, so the ear loop kind of sucks. Here, let's try this again. Give me more length on the ear, please. Crazy, complicated adjuster. Thank you. Give me more ear. There we go. Not a lot of flex on the ear loops. I don't really like that. I wish they had a little more flexibility on that. Getting some leakage right across the top of the nose. All right, call it 1346. It is jumping up all over the place. I got a leak somewhere. There's a leak somewhere on this one. I think it's right here on the chin, but it's hard to tell. Well, that would be my suspicion. Not a big fan of that design. It sits really close to your face because the fabric covering kind of like smashes it a little bit to your face. I didn't really notice the valves actuating very clearly, but maybe the version I'm using is the plug valve. No, it has the release. I'm not sure that's really worth the money or not. Let's see. What do we got on the fun stuff? Let's see. I think there's a question whether human waste has active virus in it? That's kind of the question I have because it's easy to do a PCR test to determine that there's virus present in the waste. It's another thing to know if it's actually viable, right? It's kind of like finding the bones of the virus. So there's bones of the virus in your poop, but is it viable? I'm not sure. So doesn't mean there's not other things why we should not have frickin' 1.494 e to the 4 is the Indian concentration there. There are other good reasons why we shouldn't have aerosolizing our human fecal waste. So don't get me wrong there. I'm just not sure if it's a mechanism for transmitting COVID. Okay, let's try the Trident. It's a P2 and extra small. It's a kid small. It's basically a kid's mask, but it's exactly like an Aura, but for kids, which is pretty cool. But it's only AUS only, so it's the Trident P2 extra small. AUS only. So I don't want anyone. This had to come from someone shipping it to me. Let's just say that. I reached out to them, heard nothing, and yeah, let's just say that someone was very nice to help me out on this one. Thanks for shipping it over from Australia. I know it cost you like $20, so thank you, or probably even more than that. So thanks for sending that over to me. Really appreciate it. I always like testing kids' masks. I wish these were for sale in the U.S. because I think there's a lot of people that would. A lot of people that would like to test this out. Mostly, I was just interested because it's really hard to find headband kids masks, and maybe they'll be nice and sell. Someone might import them in the U.S. You might just have to find the right person. And I know there's some mask nerds out there, and so all right, let's try this out. 1.327 e to the 4. This is really freaking tiny. Oh my goodness. They only sent me the extra smalls. Maybe I should have asked them to send me the not extra smalls. Oh, that's tight. Tight like a toy gun. Whew. Why do I have to ear loop this one? Cut them and convert it to ear loops. It's just so tight. All right. I'm going to have to hold the nose. All right, call it 122. Jumping around a little bit there. Oh my goodness. 99. Damn. It's a good kid's mask. I swear that's like whoever makes that's making the Auras too. The nose foam is exactly the same. It has the same smell. Like the mask smells like a 3M mask. Fit Test the Planet says, oh yeah, so we're talking about aerosolizing. Yeah, if you're in a public toilet, wear a mask. Even if there was no COVID, wear a mask. Now that I know what I know, if I ever go to a public toilet and COVID's over and whatever, I'm still going to wear a mask in a toilet, especially an airport toilet. Toilets. Fit Test the Planet says, holy crap, this is exactly my Friday night test lineup. I haven't watched a video. I'll have to check it out. Been a little busy. But yeah, it's funny that you test the same. I think these are kind of the end of there's not much left out there I haven't tested, so I'm starting to get the small stuff. Callum McKee says, thank you for all you're doing. Australian viewer here, looking forward to seeing the Trident results. From what I've seen, it's a slightly lower quality Aurora, but comes in a variety of sizes. They do cheat a bit in the fit factor by making it overly tight. That's possible. But the fact that fit my head was pretty amazing. 1.129 e to the 4. Yeah, I would say it's they're not seaming the edges, so that's a little annoying. what I'm talking about here is on this mask is like, see how, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this or not, but like you can, these layers are not all heat seamed together, so they're coming apart. So they didn't seam all the edges, although they do it in the rest of the mask. They just didn't do it right at the edges. The staples are good quality looking though, and the elastic material they're using the same stuff that they use for a V-Flex. It's the same rubber strap as like a V-Flex, and yeah, it smells like a frickin' 3M. It smells exactly. It smells like a 3M mask. Honestly, the smell is exactly the same. Got batch and lot ID on there. The fact that I mean, I think the big thing for this mask is that they offer, you basically get an Aura and an extra small, which is like 3M. Please go do the same thing. All right, let's get out the big guns. Let's get the port account with the N95 Companion. I'll be right back. 1 second, and we'll do that. So hold tight. I'm gonna get the port account. Bum, bum, bum. Welcome back. Who doesn't love a port account and an N95 Companion? Thanks TSI for making a high quality instrument that still works like 20 years after it was made. You can't hear me because I don't have my microphone on, but I will fix that here shortly. I was giving my thanks to TSI for making an instrument so robust that it still works 20 years after it was made. I think this one's actually from 2007, so it's not quite 20 years, but it's long enough that it's amazing that it still works. Let me clear some space to put the port account up on. We'll do the quick checkout. Luckily, the port account comes up online really fast, so we're going to do it fast because I got to go to bed. I got to be at work tomorrow. Busy day for me tomorrow. Lots of things to do. So let's just get this beast up and running. All right, we're going to end our friend the Python script that connects to the 3025A. So let's power him down. Gonna bring this over. Move this over to here. Disconnect the seat. Oops, I just turned off the TSI. Well, you're gonna go off now for a while. All right, sorry, Mr. TSI. We're gonna connect this to I didn't plan on doing the port account today, but now I'm kind of curious. And once you start, you can't stop, you know? All right, so let's get this hooked up. We got real term fired up so we can data coming out of the port. I'll put the serial port data connection here in. It's gonna be COM4. Get my serial cable. Oh, I don't even need the serial cable. I can just go straight into this one. There we go. Get that on the ground there. I'm making a bunch of noise, but it's working. It's working. All right, so now we're live on that. Now let's get my power cord going. There we go. Come on, Mr. Power. Drop the microphone. Keep dropping. Sorry I'm making so much noise for y'all. All right, back to there we go. Microphone's back on. Port account's warming up. I'll do the checkout on that. Do I have a filter that's going to work? I do. But I need a small piece of blue static tubing. Or not static tubing, blue silicone tubing. I could have swore I had a little piece of silicone tubing sitting here earlier today. Where did it go? Because otherwise I guess I can use the other piece of tubing. That'll work too. Son of a biscuit. Oh, here it is right here. Got it. Oh, it's 1/4 inch though. I don't need 1/4 inch tubing. I need 1/8 inch tubing. Or 3/16. Or that's 3/16. I need 1/8 inch tubing. Son of a biscuit. I'll be right back. I need a piece of tubing. Alright, well, that took a little longer than I'd like, but let's get real term up here. And we can connect on COM port 4. Baud rate is going to be 1200. There we go. Okay, let me share that on this. Let's see if I can add a capture. Oh, you can see it's right here, but where is that one? All right, so this is the real term. It's just a serial port communication. You're going to look in the concentration that's coming out of the port account right now. It says about 100 particles per cc in here. Concentration seems low. Oh, that's with the N95 active. We're going to be just right below where we need to be, so I'm going to kick the generator on. But while we wait in the meantime, I have 2 checks I got to do. One, I'm going to disconnect this. Connect my filter. We're going to do a 0 count check at the port account. So that's the background count without the N95 companion connected. Okay, so now I got my filter connected, and I want to see that go to 0. Let's see if I can expand this a little bit here. Can I hide some of this stuff? Alright, so now it's 0.3, 0 particles per cc. Okay, so port account is 0 counting correctly. I'll go ahead and hook the N95 companion back up. Now I'm going to 0 check the N95 companion with a filter. Okay, filter is going into the N95 companion. Again, goes back to 0. Perfect. That's what I expect to see. So that was 0.6. Okay, we're back. Oh, we're getting a few counts there. Let's see. Oh, we're good. We're at 0. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead, and the last thing I need to check is I'm going to hit the button on the back of the port account. What that does is it turns off the DMA voltage, the little classifier that's inside it. It'll make the red LED turn red. Okay, LED is now red. That means that the classifier voltage is off. It should also fall back to 0 particles per cc because there's no voltage being applied. Nope, there it is. Let's try that again. Now it's red. All right, it's coming down 69, 21, 13, 3, 1.2, 0 particles per cc on the N95 companion with the voltage turned off. So that means the DMA is working. Things are good inside of there. Go ahead, release that. Concentration will come back up. Get about 260 particles per cc. That should be enough for us to do our tests. Let me put the little stupid pendant on here that will hit the microphone a million times. So I'm probably going to have to move the microphone. I know we're okay. All right, let's start with the mask. First, let's do the breathe. We'll do a port account check on this bad boy. Let the concentration stabilize. Oops. Ah! These are not the correct loops for this. I just, for some reason, didn't have them. But there we go. Oh yeah, this will pass a fit test. Okay, so we're just going to do a single fit test. It's going to take, first it's going to do a standard protocol, so it's like 15-second purge, or no, 15-second measurement, 15-second purge, minute measurement, and then we'll get the data. So I'm going to go switch back to fit test mode. I'm going to hit start test. Let's see it pop up there. All right, fit factor 200. So it did confirm on this breathe filter that we are fit factor 200. So it is not leaking between the filter media. It's not leaking between the interface. It is leaking because the filtration efficiency of the medium is not low enough to do it. And you need to do it because I'm effectively doing a P100 style test with my old setup. Okay, let's do the Proscentex, the other one that did poorly. Where's that Proscentex Nano Mask at? Nano Mask, where'd you go? Oh, it's right here. Let's do that one quickly. Do the same thing again. Fit test the planet. You should hit me up on Twitter, and I can send you one of my. I have a spare N95 companion if you'd like to borrow it for a little bit. I'll lend it to you. You just let me know. You hit me up on Twitter, send me a DM. I'll stop. Okay. Just hit me up on Twitter and I'll let you borrow it. It's important, I think, because sometimes what happens is if you're chasing high fit counts, you never know, is it the filter media or is it the fit? And the N95 companion will basically filter even shittier media at really high rates. So that's kind of why it was invented. I argue you don't really need it with modern filter media. But if you're trying to chase, like, is the mask not fitting you? That's pretty good. All right, so let's do this again. Here we go. All right, fit factor 200 again. With the N95 companion, so these are fitting. But tells you how well this mask fits. Look, no ear loops. Fits pretty damn well. Maybe a little too sticky there because it's kind of adhering to my face. Okay, so that tells you that that mask fits perfecto. Let's try this one to figure out why this one didn't do so well. I bet you this has leaks in the filter media all over the place. So let's do the Airnum Pro. All right, fit factor 20. So that explains why the Aranum Active Mask got such a low value. It's because it is leaking. And I don't know where it's leaking, but I suspect it's leaking at the filter interface. So let's pop that one off. Okay. Who else do we want to test? Let's do the Breathe. Let's do this one again. Stop the test. I get a leak right in my nose here. I can feel it. There we go. All right, fit factor 200. So the Breathe, I think, is just has poor quality filters. Let's try 20. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that one's done. What else do we want to test? Any other masks tested poorly that we want to check out? The Aeronum Urban. Let's do that one quickly. So this does fit. It's just the filter media, I think, is pretty. You know, what's kind of gross is look at all the spit and breath. Like, ugh. Like, it's just so close to your mouth that it's kind of. Okay, last one. We'll do two last ones. All right, let's do the Aeronum Urban. Figure out why that one was leaking. I think we're going to get the beep of death here. Let me turn the generator on. We'll get some counts for a second. Let me answer some questions. I saw a bunch of stuff in there and I didn't have a chance. Okay, fit factor 20. That's just N95. No, right? So fit factor of 20 in N95 mode. And so this is how N95s are fitted in the workplace. So what this means is that, and I hope my mic's not squeaking too much there. What this means is that you need a fit factor of 100 in the workplace. A fit factor of 100 is like 99% protection, roughly. And then if we think about a fit factor of 20, that's like 91 over 25. So that'd be 95% protection. But that's still 5 times less than the workplace standard. So I like to use the port account. It lets you just figure out, was it the filter media or was it a face seal leakage issue? So in the case of both the Breathe mask, the Prechintex mask, it's not that there's a face fit issue. It's actually that the filter media quality is not there. And then the Aeronum mask, there's leaks, and I suspect the leaks are coming. Oh, my mic is off. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Can you guys hear me? Someone said my mic is off. Can you all hear me? Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I see it on OBS Studio, it looks to be active, but someone was saying my mic's off. Okay, Alan says good, everyone says we're good. Okay, so sorry, Paolo, I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe jump back in the stream, or maybe your volume's down, who knows. So anyways, fit factor is important to look at in terms of face seal leakage. Now, historically, what I've done is used the TSI 3025A, the series of tests, because I think each piece of data tells you something, right? So how well does it filter, and then how well does it seal? So it's kind of 2 pieces of information now. So that's why I use this. So that's what this means. I see, I think Gerard and Fit Test the Planet are both using port accounts, which is good. I like to see people testing masks and figuring out what works for them and starting to talk about face fit. I think it's really important. I think one thing that does kind of happen when you use a port account in N100 mode or in P100 mode is that filter media becomes a player in it too. Because if you're only, let's say you have a filter media that's like 98%, then the highest fit factor you can ever get is 50? Yeah, it's 50. That would be the highest you could ever get, even with no face leakage. So then it's like, well, the mask actually might give you a fit factor 200. It's just the media. So when you start chasing these high fit factor numbers, it kind of becomes important to have a port account or a newer version of the TSI, like the 3083, 30, whatever the newest couple are, where they have the N95 companion integrated. Okay. So this mask is definitely leaking somewhere. Let's see if I can find out where it's leaking at. Oh, the chin. It's the chin. So if you're watching the counts in the this corner over here, I'm holding the chin sealed, and the counts go to 0. So if I let go of the counts, all right, let's rock it. Here we go. Fit test. Start fit test. All right, fit factor 9.4. So that's the issue there. Doesn't seal to my face well, so that's why we got a low result. I don't think I'm going to chase how good it really is because we'll just get the pressure drop data and show that it's not amazing. We'll do the well before just because I'm curious. Because it's ear loop, and had you used this with just an N95, with just the standard port account, you would have got a fit factor of at most 50 or less. So what's the filtration? 98.5? So you would have got like maybe like, yeah, you would have got like a fit factor of 65 or something like that. Let's just see what we get. All right, here we go. All right, fit factor 200, pass. So, fit factor 200 on the ear loop. In a single seated position, not perfect. I just want to make sure. I just like to do them every once in a while. All right, I think that's everything. So, we had fun. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. And then I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to turn the port account off. Let me disconnect this off of there. I'm going to get this off my neck because it's kind of itchy. I'll clean up the bathroom tomorrow morning. I don't want to do it. I'm going to go to bed here. Okay. Let's see. What do we got going on? Someone asked. Let's see if we have any questions. Get your questions. Questions. First, thanks to YouTube Punk for moderating. I didn't let them know that I was doing this in advance because this was a last minute thing because I was like, shit, I got to get these masks tested because I keep putting it off. So thanks for hanging around and doing this, and I appreciate it a million times. Thank you. Let's see. What level of transmission would be considered low enough to reduce precautions? Obviously personal, but looking for guidance. I think the answer is it's very situation dependent. I think, I think that's what people are saying below. I think that for me, that number has got to be pretty low, but we're hard at work at Open Arrows thinking about other ways that we could tackle some of these solutions. So we'll have some stuff to announce soon about that kind of stuff. But I think the answer is that hold tight. We'll have some solutions coming out here pretty soon. It'll take a little while to propagate through, but I hope by next winter we're talking about some of the stuff that we're going to be doing, and hope that we can spread how to do that to other people who are interested in creating their own little groups. We'll talk about that later. So I'm being vague for a reason because we haven't announced it yet, but we'll talk about what we got going on there. Mostly for restaurants and bars because that's otherwise like everything else is fairly straightforward. I think in general, if rates were like 1/5 of what we're at now, I would have like almost zero concern with people, like individuals coming to my house because the probability that they have it at any time is very low. Plus, you can kind of gauge what people are doing and stuff like that. But for some people, that risk would be still high, especially in the case of like Paulo, who says that his wife has chemo. Like that sucks. And this is the problem with everything. Is like this pandemic affects different groups differently. I always am kind of amazed at who masks and who doesn't mask. I do notice that in my city, I see a lot of people who are not white mask more frequently than rich white people. So tells you something. Also, that's been who's been impacted by the COVID more than anything else. Let's see what else we got. Mickey says I'm about to switch from LG Airwasher to Breathe Tech. Yeah, I mean Breathe Tech is technically slightly lower relative to that, but that difference is really small. And my test aerosol is really tiny. My wife actually has been rocking the Breathe Techs a lot, and Sam at Open Arrows wears now the Breathe Tech ear loop. Got it fitted on her. She got a fit factor of like overall the mean of about 70, which is pretty damn good for an ear loop. She likes those; they're very breathable. But yeah, I actually think the Seibu is better, but the frickin' nose wire on the Seibu is just yeah. Yeah, Callum McKenna says that he also is wearing the 3M indoor space. Experiment with the Seibu 3D Ultras. With ear toggles and ear savers. Okay, yeah, so you're wearing the ear loop version, not the Fit Pro Extreme or whatever their other option. Yeah, I think the Seibu is my issue. The Seibu is just the nose wire. I can rock it, but just barely. I mean, it is on the edge for me, and I don't have a very tall nose. So that's my complaint about the Seibus. But I think they're actually probably the best mask out there in terms of ear loop, like structure and everything. Like if you're rocking an ear loop, they're probably the best. But I think the next best is Breathe Tech. The nose wire in Breathe Tech is infinitely better. So I can go that route. When will I announce the stuff? It'll be a little while. We'll be working on it for the next couple of months, but know that you're not the only people in the world thinking about the way that you're thinking about it. We're sick of it too. We're going to try to do something about it. And we'll have other news. We've been working hard the last 3 months. If you can tell how tired I am, I was at the office almost all day today too. We have all kinds of stuff coming up. Do I plan on testing the new version of the Airwasher? Yes, if I can get my hands on it. Collect here in the U.S., I reached out to them. They still have a lot of stock of the older version. So if you do like the Airwasher and you want to get some, I would highly recommend getting what you can from Collect. They have a bunch of stock, and so when that stock's gone, then they'll maybe bring in the newer version. I'm not sure exactly what. I'll have to ping them again. Maybe Jerry. Oh yeah, they have them on G Market. Yeah, because the Korean market had already switched over. I haven't bought anything on G Market in a while because I just haven't had time, and there's just so many KF94s. For my top picks video, which I'm trying to finalize because I was waiting to test the well before because I think the well before is a really good option now. My basic answer is like the best ear loop KF94 is anyone you want to buy because in my data every KF94 performed really well. So it's just about finding one that fits you and what works for you. I love KF94s. I mean, this is a great standard. They've done a really good job with it. You don't have to worry about it. It's like N95s. They all work great. Just but yeah, all right. Yeah, no, Bruce, we'll have some exciting stuff. We got lots of stuff. We haven't really talked much about it. What we're doing at Open Arrows yet. We will start to become more public just once all the IP and stuff gets filed. What? It's an open source project. Yeah, well, it turns out you still have to conform to the stupid patent laws and do some stuff to protect the project, even though it'll be open source for everybody, but there's some weird crap that we've had to deal with. So you have to get all your patent and your IP stuff, and then you can start publicly talking about it. So we've been very busy doing all of that. Jerry, no problem. I'm glad that all this work has benefited you. It's always been my goal is to just try to help people. So I'm glad that my work has been beneficial to people. It's great. I, like you, want the pandemic to be over. So if we do science and engineering right, we can solve a lot of these issues. Just gotta have to get everyone on the same way. Collect is KOLLECT. Collect. I think with maybe an E. Here, I can pull it up here for you. So this is the website. Yeah, Collect USA. KOLLECT USA.com. Go here. You can go to face masks. I got KF94. You can go to or shop by brand. Here's the LG Airwasher. They have the older version, and they'll have the newer version coming up. How much are they charging? $23 for how many? 10 pieces? Still kind of spendy. $2 a mask. You buy 40 for 92. But it's a little. I mean, I don't know. They're expensive masks to make. I can tell you that. What else have they got? What are they carrying? I haven't been on here in a little while. Anything new? Nothing. I think I've tested everything that's on here. Yeah, I think I've tested pretty much everything that they have on their list of masks. Milmaids, yep. I never tested these. I do have these. They're just they're too small for my face. I can't test them. Oh, it's that like bus show, Korean bus show. My son watched that one. So, all right. Anyways, let's collect. They're a cool company. Do a lot of importing. Be Healthy USA also an option too. They're good too. Column says if I come out with a cheap quantitative fit tester, he'll be my first customer. I'm going to write that down, Callum. I'm going to write that down, and then I'm going to make you have to buy one. You never said how much. Affordable. I guess affordable is a relative term. But yeah, no, we're working on that. We want to do that. It'll take a little while. I don't think realistically we'll have it finished, like consumer facing, for like probably until the fall or the middle. Yeah, it'll take a little while. We'll figure it out. We're making progress. All right, I'm gonna go to bed myself. So y'all, thanks for hanging around and being weirdos with me and talking about masks. Hope y'all have a great evening. I'm gonna go to bed. I got work to do. Otherwise, wear a mask. Help others wear masks. Help slow down the spread of a disease that hasn't stopped spreading. And thanks for hanging around and being cool people. It's always a pleasure. I hope y'all have a great week coming up ahead. And hey, the equinox comes here pretty soon. I think that's tomorrow. Or at least for me at my latitude. I think the equinox is. Well, I guess it's at all latitudes because it's we're like right at the equator, right? 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours, or maybe I can never remember exactly. Oh yeah, it must be right at the equator right now. So, anyways, again, I'm not a meteorologist, or an astronomer, so don't trust me for anything on that. But you can trust me on math stuff. That's about it. All right, thanks everybody. I'll catch you on the next one.